Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. My name's Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Now today I wanted to show you how I made the Flying Seagull Fold card that I shared as part of the Creativity Abounds blog hop. So I checked out some other demonstrators who have shared this amazing fold, and it's Susan Canfield. I don't know if she came up with it, but that's the one I'm seeing mostly on her blog, and she shared some great instructions. So I want to give credit to Susan for this fold. So our blog hop this month for Creativity Abounds, every month we pick a suite or a bundle or a theme. And so this month we picked the online exclusives. So these are products that Stampin' Up! Is only selling. They're not available in the catalog, but they are available through our online store. So if you go into my online store, you can look these up under, I believe it's under the new items or what's new. But I'm going to share, so some of the ones that you may have seen, Hello Irresistible, some of the other ones that others shared, the Rhino Ready was part of these. There's a whole bunch of online exclusives, and there's going to be more over time. So what I'm sharing today is the Naturally Gilded Specialty Designer Series paper, as well as the silver and gold 1/8 inch ribbon trim. So those are the two online exclusives I'm sharing, and I've paired those up with the Queen Bee bundle, which I absolutely love. And so I just kind of thought that this background with the designer series paper would be a perfect combination. So let me show you how easy this fold is. Once you've kind of made one, you'll have it figured out. And again, thanks to Susan Campfield for the great instructions. All right. Let me switch over. So this is what the card looks like. It looks like a regular card, but it opens up, and then it's called a flying seagull because you can kind of see, there we go, there's the flying seagull. So it opens up. It takes a little bit more cardstock than what a normal card would, but it's just such a fun fold. And you can even do more. I didn't cover in all of the spots. There's some flaps here that I didn't cover in because you don't really see it, but it's just such a really fun fold. So when it stands, it kind of does that. All right. So again, this is the Naturally Gilded. It is in the gold, the silver, and copper. So it's really pretty. And then I've tied a little bow and put it on my little bee with the gold ribbon. And then these are the stamped images and die cuts from the Queen Bee. And I'm not sure where I got this sentiment from. I'm going to use Happy Birthday on the card I'm making today, which is the two of the stamps that are part of the Queen Bee bundle. And then I've put some of the classic matte dots on just to kind of have the black theme going. All right. So this is the Queen Bee bundle. Such a great one. This was a $1 million stamp set by Laura Milligan from the US. So it's got this great bee with all the lovely detail. This is carried over into the new catalog, which is great. I love it. And then of course these great dies. So there is a bee. That one will cut the bee. And then this for the lovely flowers. For these sentiments, you've got a ribbon or a label die. And then I'm cutting out this for the background. And then you've got all sorts of other dies that you can use. It's really a lovely, lovely bundle. I was so pleased that it's carrying over. I'm going to need those dies in a minute. Okay, so let's get started on what we're going to need. I've gone ahead and cut out everything here. So what you need are 2 pieces of cardstock. I'm using Crumb Cake as my base. So this is the card base itself. And these are cut 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. So just a little bit smaller than the normal width of the card. So a full sheet of cardstock. You need actually more than a full sheet of cardstock for this card. All right, so we're going to score this at 2 1/4. Now, if you miss any of these measurements, they are on the blog post, and the link to that blog post will be underneath this video, so you can go out and get it afterwards. Let me just do this. All right, so we're going to score it at 2 1/4, 4, inches and 6 1/4. Okay, and we're going to do the same to the other piece. So again, 2 pieces of cardstock, 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. And so we'll score this one at 2 1/4, 4, and then 6 1/4. All right. I think that's all we need for scoring. Let's bring these back in. Now, the other thing that you do need is a piece of the same cardstock, so crumb cake, and this is cut 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, so if I bring this card back in, just want to make sure that I get this going the right way. I believe that's right. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to fold this. Grab your bone folder, and we're going to fold this in a mountain, valley, valley configuration. So mountain. So fold it up so it forms a peak like that. So we'll give that a good burnish. And then a valley on the 4-inch. And then another valley on that 6-inch. Okay, so we've got mountain, valley, valley. So you end up with a piece that looks like that. And we're going to do exactly the same on this side. Now, I'm going to flip this. So this is kind of opposite. So you can do it exactly the same if you have it going the same way, because these are different widths. So if you do it exactly the same, so on the 2 1/4 inch, form a mountain, and then we'll flip it around. So form a mountain, and then a valley, and then another valley. So now we've got 2 pieces that look exactly the same, but if we just take one and flip it 180 degrees, we have our card base, and I'll show you what to do with that. Okay, so now these 2 flaps that are sticking up, that are kind of next to each other, fold them over flat and kind of line up these edges with each other. Now you can take a piece of, I'm just using Post-it note tape. You could use washi tape. You could use just a Post-it note, but I'm just going to hold that together so it doesn't move, because we're going to now attach our card base together. So take the 4 1/4 inch piece, and we're going to line it up so that the edges are lined up with the edge of our card base. And it's roughly, you're going to have just about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So have that kind of same amount. You can see the score lines. Maybe you can't, but that folds like that. So it's just about maybe 1/8 of an inch from that. So you just really want it to be aligned with the top and bottom and kind of equal. So I'm just going to move one of these. You can use tear and tape adhesive if you want. I might need a little bit of wiggle room to just shift this around a little bit. I'm going to be brave here and see if I can do this with moving that. Okay, so I'm just going to take and get those 2 pieces butted up against each other. You know what I should do? What it probably would be easier. So you could do this is put this on the back side. So turn it over. I can't do that now that I've got my glue, but you could put this on the back side, your Post-it note, and that would make it much easier than what I'm trying to do here. All right, so I'm just going to take this and just kind of line it up with the top and bottom. And I got a little bit of wiggle room because I'm using liquid glue. If you're going to use tear and tape, so there we go. I can kind of butt these up against each other from the back side. If you're using tear and tape or stamp and seal, you're not going to have much time to fuss with that. But now you can see I've already got my card base, and we've got our flying seagull all set to go. So that's kind of the card itself. It's really easy. I mean, it looks like it should be really hard to do, but it's really not. Now let's bring in the rest of the pieces that you need. I've double matted my flaps. So I've got basic black, and then I've got the designer series paper. So if you want to do that, then you're going to cut your pieces. So these two outside flaps, you're going to cut two pieces that are 2 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then you're going to cut two pieces of designer series paper that's 2 inches by 4. And then for these, the second flap in is 1 5/8 by 4 1/8. That's that. And then the designer series paper is, oops, I got an extra one there, 1 1/2 by 4. So I'm just gonna use liquid glue and adhere my designer series paper onto. So you're just really getting a peekaboo of the black, but I just thought it would just be a nice contrast to the crumb cake. And since my bumblebee is going to be black, I thought it would be good. I love this paper. It's just so pretty. Just love the kind of natural, I guess it's called naturally gilded. Just kind of sprigs, a bit abstract. It's kind of cool. And like I said, it comes in, this is the gold. It also comes in silver with white. This is gold with very vanilla. It comes, the silver has white, and then I'm not sure what color the copper is, whether it's white or very vanilla. All right, so I've got my designer series paper, and now it's going to adhere on to our flaps. Again, you could use whatever your favorite adhesive is. Mine these days seems to be the liquid glue. Just gives me some wiggle room, which is always a good thing when you're trying to kind of get pieces into position. But maybe you're happier using Stamp and Seal. I always used to use Stamp and Seal, and I still have some favorite times I use Stamp and Seal, but I seem to be a convert. One of the reasons I didn't like to use liquid glue is I would get it all over my fingers, and you may still hear me say, oh my gosh, I got glue on my fingers, because I really don't like glue on my fingers. But I've learned that if you take your piece, and you can see I'm only going maybe, you know, 1/4 of an inch less, and I'm leaving space at the edge, and that just allows, the glue will kind of spread. But if you get too close, it'll kind of splodge out, and that's when you get the glue all over your fingers. Now, I have that. I'm missing a piece of basic black, so I'm just going to go and grab a piece of basic black and cut it. Okay, so you need a piece of basic black if you're going to mat it. That should be 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. I think that's only one piece, yeah. All right, I'm going to cut this to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then we'll take it and go 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And that's because I'm putting that little mat behind the designer series paper. Okay, so we'll take, and then our designer series paper for the front of the card is 4 inches by 4 inches. If you're like me and you have lots of designer series paper in your stash, this is a great way to use it up. So some of the cards I've seen that have used this fold, it kind of makes a panel card. And so like the greatest journey that has kind of a scene across it is perfect for this, because you can kind of create that scene. So there we go. There is our card base. And when this folds up, it folds up to a standard size card just by tucking the wings in underneath. You could also tuck them on the front, but I just found tucking them underneath keeps it flat. Okay, Now, let's do some stamping. Got our card base. Now we need to do some stamping. So I've got Tuxedo Black Memento. So I'm going to ink this up really well. I want my bee to be quite black. So we'll stamp it here in the corner. And then I'm going to ink up these flowers. It looks like wildflowers. Like that. When I have larger stamps, I often ink them up from the top. Press that down so I get a nice crisp image. And then I took the happy birthday and I've got them both on the same block. Now, if you follow me at all, you know that I fussy cut mostly my sentiments. So I've just kind of put them both on the block. I think I've got room in there. And I'll just stamp. And that didn't go very well, but I'm going to cut that out anyway, even though, so I've got a bit of a halo. So if you're going to punch it out or die cut it, you may not want that halo, but because I use my paper snips always to fussy cut my sentiments, I'm not really worried about that. Okay, let's take this. And so we've got our bee die, this cute bee. Now there are 4 little holes and they help you line up. So if you can see, in this case, black through those holes, that means you've got your die positioned where you want it. If you can't see the black through the holes, then the die isn't in position, because it is kind of hard to, especially these little tiny legs. I was going to say feet, legs that the bee has. All right, I've got another piece of Post-it note tape. That. All right, I'm just going to take this, and my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is off to the side, so I'm just going to take and cut this. There we go. So there's my bee. Cute. I just love how detailed that bee is. All the flowers on the wings. So pretty. All right, let's put those dies away so I don't lose them. Been known to do that. We don't want to do that. Okay, and I'll cut that out in a minute. So I already went ahead and cut out this kind of circular. You can make a garland if you cut multiples out. So I'm just going to take that and kind of put it underneath there. So I'm going to just use a little bit of glue. I'm not going to worry about getting glue all over this. I just want enough to hold it down, because the large flower is going to hold it in place. So my wildflowers here are going to hold it in place, and I'm going to use dimensionals on those. I'm not coloring these. If you wanted to color them, it would be quite pretty. All right, let's just twist that a little bit. So I'm just going to put that. I just want to be able to see the garland behind. Okay, and now I'm going to take and put my bee on. Again, I'm using dimensionals. You could color this bee if you wanted to. I'm going to use the gold bow to kind of fancy up the bee. There is a little tiny heart die that fits right in the center if you wanted to use that. That would be pretty, cut out of gold paper, gold foil. But I'm using, this is the 1/8 inch gold twine. It comes in 1 roll of gold and 1 roll of silver. I have just about used up all of my gold. I really need to switch over to silver projects, but I don't know, I seem to be on to the gold. Okay, so I'm going to tie. I want this just to be a fairly small bow, because I'm going to put it on the bee, and I don't want it covering my bee up. And let's use a glue dot. You could use a little daub of glue, but I find glue dots just so much easier to manage. So I just press it down onto the glue dot and then pick it up and put it right down. And I put it over the heart on the bee. Okay, now if you wanted to, I have not put anywhere to write a sentiment on my card, but you could easily put, even here, that would hold it in place. If you cut a piece of basic white that's 4 inches by 4 inches and put it right over the center of your card, actually, no, you wouldn't want to do that. I lie. But you could cut 2 panels that would go on these 2 pieces for your sentiment. All right, let's get our sentiment, or not sentiment, notes, I guess. I want to say. All right, so I'm just going to cut these out. And so I'm not going to worry. Sometimes I just, well, a lot of times if you watch me, you know that I fussy cut my sentiments, and I often just kind of cut around it and make a rectangle or a square or whatever it is. And that way I don't worry too much if they haven't cut very straight. I'm just kind of cutting around it. And if I intentionally try not to get it straight, it works really well, because then I'm not worried about it, because I don't cut very straight most of the time. Okay, I'm going to use dimensionals. But if you want to use the die that is in the bundle, absolutely. I just have kind of got myself into a habit of fussy cutting. All right, so we're just going to take and put a happy birthday down here in the corner, just like that. And then the last thing, these are, I don't have many of these left, at least in black. Not sure what the little elegant faceted gems got in there. All right, these are the classic matte dots. And so I'm just going to take and put, these are the 2 sizes. They come in black, white, cream, and gray. So I'm going to use the black ones, of course. And they come in 2 sizes. I'm trying to get the small ones. Here we go. There's some of the little tiny black ones. So one of the big ones and one of the little ones. And we'll just put those on like that. All right, there we go. Not really hard once you see how it's done. So there we go. There's the flying Seagull Fancyfold. Again, thanks to Susan Campfield. Because I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's Susan that actually came up with this design, but she's the one that I actually saw when she shared it on social media. So, all right, if you have questions, first of all, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed to my new YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button just underneath the video. That way you'll get notified when I go live or when I share a video. That way you don't have to remember. I do go live regularly on YouTube as well as in my Facebook page and group, but there's no way to notify people on YouTube. So subscribing is the best way, and that way you'll get notified. Also, if you have questions, leave a comment underneath this video. Or if you found your way out to my blog, all of the written instructions and measurements are on my blog, as well as a supply list for the card. So you can go out there and get it, because you could make this card using any of your stash. It's a great way to use up designer series paper. And if you find your way out there and you have any questions, leave a comment on my blog. Also, you can hit the subscribe button on to my newsletter if you're interested when you get to my blog. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I had such fun making this card, and we will see you next time. Happy stamping. Bye.